UFC is back down under. That's right, Sydney, Australia, for really not a good pay-per-view card, but two really good title fights at the top of it. No time to waste. Let's get into it. First fight of the night, we got Jake Matthews taking on Francisco Prado. So Matthews is 20-7. That is 13-7 in the UFC. Prado is 12-2. That is 1-2 in the UFC. Matthews has alternated wins and losses in his last 7 fights. Prado has won 3 of his last 5, but he is coming off of a loss. Matthews, 30 years old. Prado, just 22 years old. I'm going to take Jake Matthews' money line here, minus 175. I am going to parlay it. I'll get to that in a little bit. Plain and simple. He's got 7 times the amount of UFC experience. He's fought better competition. 2 of his last 3 losses came to top 15 guys, so he's really not losing to scrubs. Prado also moving up in weight from lightweight. Matthews should have the size advantage here. Also, fun fact, Jake Matthews has gotten at least 1 takedown in 12 of his 20 UFC fights, and Prado was taken down with ease by Jamie Malarkey, and I feel like Jamie Malarkey's not as good of a wrestler as Jake Matthews is. Little MMA math, sure, but I think Jake Matthews is going to have his way with him here. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, I do like the over 2.5 here. It's minus 175, so you'd have to parlay it. Matthews has hit it in 12 of his 20 UFC fights, and Prado has hit it in 2 of his 3 UFC fights. That's 61% combined. Another prop I like, Jake Matthews inside the distance, plus 280. 13 of his 20 pro wins have come by finish. Only caveat here, Prado has never been finished before. And if you like Prado, take him by KO, plus 335. 6 of his 12 pro wins have come by KO, including his lone UFC win. And Jake Matthews, been KO'd before. Next fight of the night, we got Jimmy the Brute Crute taking on Rodolfo Bellato. So Crute is 12-4-1. That is 4-4-1 in the UFC. Bellato is 12-2. That is 1-0 in the UFC. Jimmy Crute, rough stretch here, has not won a fight since 2020. Bellato, on the other hand, has won 4 of his last 5. Both these guys still just 28 years of age. I'm taking the dog here. Jimmy Crute, money line, plus 145. Hear me out. 3 of his 4 pro losses have come to top 15 light heavyweights, current top 15 light heavyweights. The lone outlier was Misha Serkinov, who was ranked number 8 when they fought. So all 4 of his UFC losses have come to guys in the top 15. Not to mention Bellato's lone UFC win came to Ihor Potieria, who literally just got cut by the UFC. So literally hasn't even beaten anyone on the UFC roster. We're riding with Jimmy Crute here. Let's go. If you guys are looking for anything else, how about the over 1.5? It's minus money, minus 140, but I do like it. Crute's only hit it twice in 9 UFC fights, but Bellato's hit it in 4 of his last 5, so he tends to go a little longer. If you like Bellato, take him by KO, plus 170. 7 of his 12 pro wins have come by KO, including his last 2 wins, and Jimmy Crute been KO'd twice. If you want a little more on Crute, take him by finish, plus 335. 9 of his 12 pro wins have come by finish, including his last 5 wins. And both of Bellato's pro losses have come by finish. Up next, we got Justin Tafa taking on Talisson Teixeira. Sick fucking main card fight here. Tafa is 7-4 with 1 no contest. That is 4-4 with 1 no contest in the UFC. Teixeira is 7-0. This will be his UFC debut. Tafa unbeaten in 4 of his last 5. Teixeira obviously undefeated, so he's won 7 in a row, all 7 by first round finish. Tafa, 31 years old. Teixeira, just 25 years old. I'm playing it safe here. I'm taking fight does not go the distance. It's minus 600. I'm going to parlay it, obviously. I'll get to it in a little bit. 9 of Tafa's 12 pro fights have not gone the distance, and all 7 of Teixeira's pro fights I mentioned ended in the first round, so they have not gone the distance. That is 84% combined of their pro fights. This one should not last long. For whatever reason, they haven't dropped any props for this fight besides fight does not go the distance. So none of these have odds on them yet, but I do like them to be plus money as the week goes on. So I'm just going to name a few of them. Teixeira by KO. 6 of his 7 pro wins have come by KO, and Tafa has been KO'd before. The over 1.5 should be plus money. Tafa's hit it in 3 of his 9 UFC fights, and he did hit it in his last fight. But Teixeira's never hit it in his pro career, never been out of the first round, so a little risky. Fight end by KO will definitely be minus money. probably a little cheaper than my fight does not go the distance. 93% of their combined pro wins have come by KO, and Tafa's been KO'd before. And last but not least, you want to take the dog, Justin Tafa money line here, plus 120. Teixeira's unproven in the UFC. Tafa will have the crowd behind him. And I mean, it's heavyweight, dude. Anything could happen here, right? Worth a flyer. Co-main event, we got Weili Zhang taking on Tatiana Suarez. So Weili is 25-3. She's 9-2 in the UFC. Suarez is 10-0, 7-0 in the UFC. Weili has won 4 of her last 5. Suarez is undefeated, obviously, so she's won 10 straight, but she has only fought twice in the last 6 years. Slew of injuries, been really inactive. Weili getting up there, 35 years old. Tatiana not far behind, 34 years old. I'm taking the dog here. Tatiana Suarez money line plus 134. She's undefeated. She's been dominant in every fight she's been in. She's already beaten 3 former champions, Grasso, Andrade, and Carla Esparza. They're only a year apart in age, but Weili's at that Luke Thomas stat, that 35-year-old mark, could be going on the decline here. We're yet to see. Also, we've seen Weili taken down by 3 different opponents in the UFC. Tatiana has a better wrestling resume than all 3 of them, and she's taken down all 7 of her UFC opponents at least 2 times. So I think Tatiana just wrestle fucks here to a decision. I got to be honest. Also, 3-inch reach advantage for Tatiana. That helps. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, how about the over 2.5? It's minus 205. The over-under is set at 4.5, but Suarez has never been scheduled for a 5-rounder before, so I can't give you any stats to back that up. So we'll go 2.5 here. Suarez has hit the 2.5 in 3 of her 7 UFC fights, and Weili has hit the over 2.5 in 6 of her 11 UFC fights. If you like the favorite here, Weili Zhang money line, it's coming at a cheap price, minus 140. You'd have to parlay it. She's only lost to Rose Namajunas. She's been dominant over the division. Besides that, she has been more active than Tatiana. Obviously, she's had 7 fights in the span that Tatiana's had 2. So there's that. And if you want Weili at plus money, take her by decision, plus 275. Only 6 of her 25 pro wins have come by decision, but her last 2 wins have come by decision. So seems like it could happen. Main event, we get the rematch. Dricus Du Plessis versus Strickland 2. This is a rematch I just mentioned from January of last year, UFC 297. DDP did win a split decision, 48-47 for him on 2 cards, 48-47 for Sean on the other card. Dricus 22-2, that is 8-0 in the UFC. Strickland is 29-6, that is 16-6 in the UFC. DDP's won 10 straight, 8 of them coming by finish. Sean Strickland has won 4 of his last 5. That lone loss came to, you guessed it, DDP. Dricus also 31 years old. Sean 33 years old. I'm going to play what I think is safe here and take the over 2.5 rounds. It's minus 360. I'm parlaying it with Jake Matthews money line, and fight does not go the distance in Tafa Teixeira. Gets us plus 134. I like that 3-legger a lot, especially if it makes it to the main event. But over 2.5. DDP's hit it in 4 of his 8 UFC fights, so half of them. Sean, though, 16 of his 22 UFC fights, he's hit the over 2.5. That's 66% combined for the 2 of them. And also, they hit the over 2.5 in their first fight. It win all 5 rounds. Guys are looking for anything else to take? I do like DDP to get it done here again, minus 200. He's undefeated in the UFC, and he's beaten 3 straight former champions. Already beat Sean a year ago, and has kind of looked better since then. So here's the thing, though. Wrestling's going to be key for DDP. He had 6 takedowns in the first fight, but Sean outstruck him. So the takedowns were clearly his path to victory, at least on the judges' scorecards. He's got to take him down here again, or he's fucked. If you guys are looking for anything else to take, how about the over 4.5 rounds? It's minus 185. You'd have to parlay it. DDP's hit it in 1 of his 2 5-rounders in the UFC, and it was against Sean. And Strickland's hit it in 7 of his 8 5-rounders in the UFC. So Sean always goes long. Speaking of Sean, if you like him as the dog here, plus 175. First fight was close. 1 judge gave it to Sean, and Sean outstruck DDP. So totally on the table. DDP always looks beatable. Maybe this is the time Sean can put it together and get it done. Plus 175. Also, DDP by decision, plus 170. Sean's lost by decision 4 times.
I'm worth 100,000 like Woodrow. When a ball call me Wilson, going overboard at the Hilton.